you. First segment brought to you by Harmony Foundation. Harmony is Colorado's premier treatment program for drug and alcohol addiction. It's located right outside of Estes Park. They've got a beautiful private 45-acre mountain campus, and they are
6 weeks there.
And they are insurance friendly. So if you have a problem, or you know somebody who does have a problem, if you want to find out more about Harmony, go to harmonyfoundationinc.com. Let's talk a little bit of Peyton, since he is big in the news today. We talk about Peyton every day anyway. So
yeah,
here's the topic today, and let's get through it fairly quickly so we can get Dan Issel out here. And I think we're on the same page on this. What does Peyton have to do before he retires to be called by many people? Because there's never going to be 100% consensus on this.
There's not now.
What does he have to do to be, in many people's minds, the greatest quarterback of all time?
I think if he won his last 2 years, and I think he's going to try and play 2 years, I don't know that 2 would get it. 2 would be...
You're talking about 2 Super Bowl trophies? 2 more?
2 more.
Okay.
2 more would put him at the top of the list. I think if he won this year and were to retire after this year, that would be 4 Super Bowls, winning 2 of them. With all the records, he's going to break all the Brett Favre records. I think you put him in the discussion, because John Elway's in the discussion, which he should be. And he played in 5 and won 2, and he's in the discussion. A lot of people think John Elway's the greatest of all time. Joe Montana comes up on everybody's list. Tom Brady, you have to put at the top of it. Terry Bradshaw doesn't get the love he really deserves. He played on 4 Super Bowl teams and played in only 4 Super Bowl games like Joe Montana did. Those are the guys. People do mention Dan Marino, but he never won a Super Bowl. And most of his records have been shattered by now by Peyton and
Brett
others.
Favre, yeah.
So I would think that I thought last year, if Peyton, and I wrote this before the Super Bowl, if Peyton won that game, he would be the greatest of all time. I think losing that one kind of pulled him back. Losing the playoff game this past year, that pulled him back down. I see lists where he's 5th, 6th, or 7th. You know, you don't want to forget Johnny Unitas, who was a great quarterback when Dan and I were youngsters and into our teens and maybe even our 20s. But John Unitas was great. I think that and some of the old timers are kind of forgotten.
A lot of people would make a case for Otto Graham. Yeah.
Otto Graham. He played on championships in the NFL and the old AAFL. There was a competitor. People kind of forgot that, but
yeah.
there was a league that was opposite the NFL back in the 40s and early 50s, and Cleveland Browns may have had the greatest team up until recently. I don't know that, you know, they couldn't play against the Patriots now, but all those guys are 80 to 90 years old. I mean, that's a Sun City kind of group. They could go out to Sun City and win. So I think it'd be a bigger decision for him next year. If he won a Super Bowl, would he come back and then try to be a 3-time winner or have 6 trips to the Super Bowl? Kind of interesting.
I think if he wins one more Super Bowl, so he has 2 Super Bowls, chances are he'll hold just about every regular season record. Touchdown passes, completions, wins. He's going to break all those records of Favre's, probably this year. And then he gets that 2nd Super Bowl victory, and I think he belongs in that discussion of the top 2 or 3 of all time.
What's always going to be against him is Super Bowls,
right,
and the fact he doesn't have a 500 record in the playoffs.
Right.
He's one of those one-and-doners for a lot of years, so I think that works against him.
Well, if he wins a Super Bowl, that means he's going either 3-0 or 4-0 in the playoffs, which will put him above 500 with his playoff record.
I believe he's the greatest cerebral quarterback in the history of the NFL. I think he did more to change the game when he came in because of his gyrations, his gesturing, his studying of defenses, his practice qualities.
The way he made the players around him better.
Yeah.
Which brings up another point. You know, a lot of people are worried about losing Julius Thomas. Think of what Peyton Manning has done with receivers throughout his career. He has made every receiver he's played with better. So let's take Owen Daniels, for example. A lot of people might say, well, he's Owen Daniels, he's decent, but he's no Julius Thomas or Jimmy Graham or Tony Gonzalez. Peyton Manning will make him better. Let's take Emmanuel Sanders as an example. Playing with Ben Roethlisberger, he was a pretty good wide receiver. Yeah, he came here, he's a Pro Bowler, because Peyton helped make him a Pro Bowler.
At the top of our pop shot list is Brandon Stokely. Brandon Stokely had very good career for a guy that didn't have a lot of natural talent.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
not
know
much
if that's a fair
size.
statement. Yeah, and 2 years ago with Wes Welker, Wes Welker had one of his great years. I mean, he's taken people like DT.
Pierre Garçon.
We can mention a guy with the New York Jets. And if Julius Thomas goes to Jacksonville, he's going to be the new. You know, I brought that up with him at the Super Bowl. I said, you really don't want to go to the Jets and join Eric Decker. But if Julius Thomas goes to Jacksonville, he becomes another tight end in the league, just another tight end.
Yeah.
He's not.
Well, he did. Peyton
right
did
now,
that in
he's
Indianapolis.
The third best.
Yeah, Peyton did that in Indianapolis for years. He took guys like Gonzalez and Garçon and made them household names and got them big contracts.
Yeah.
Pierre Garçon went on to sign a huge contract with Washington. If Julius Thomas leaves here, he's going to get a huge contract from somebody. Eric Decker is set for life because of playing with Peyton Manning. If Tim Tebow had still been the quarterback here, Eric Decker not only wouldn't have gotten that kind of contract, he might be dead. Because Peyton would throw it, or Tebow would throw it here, and he'd throw it here, and he'd throw it here, and Decker would be walking around with cracked ribs these days.
Get over Tebow, okay? All right, I don't want to talk about Tebow today.